An introduction to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Is there interest? There is tremendous interest in the cryptocurrency space right now, equal parts confusion, uncertainty, and doubt. Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, blockchain, ICOs, smart contracts, DeFi, NFTs, and metaverse. What do these even mean? The natural response to these foreign concepts is usually skepticism and rejection. But beneath the jargon lies a powerful new technology revamping our financial system. Bitcoin started as an experiment in the depths of the global financial crisis of 2008, aiming to build a better financial system. Early on, cryptocurrencies developed a seedy undertone, as they were mainly associated with black market trades such as ransomware payments, money laundering, and tax evasion. Cryptocurrency has been described as the most disruptive technology since the internet, as well as a fraud or a massive Ponzi scheme. Bitcoin is digital money that is not issued or controlled by anyone. It is used to securely store and transfer any amount of value anywhere in the world. It is used to buy goods and services, store wealth, or send value to anyone without the permission of a third party. Often regarded as digital gold, Bitcoin that is stored properly cannot be hacked, stolen, or seized, thus giving people full proprietorship, much like having a Swiss bank account in their pocket. Unlike physical gold, Bitcoin is cheaper, faster, and more efficient to store or send anywhere in the world. Bitcoin is divisible to the eighth decimal place and is completely digital, allowing the transfer of any monetary value. Opposed to government fiat currencies, which can be manipulated and devalued, there is a finite supply of 21 million bitcoins, making it a scarce and valuable asset. Bitcoin is the internet of money and will do for finance what the internet did for communication. Currently, there is almost 19 million Bitcoin in circulation. How does it work? The Bitcoin network is a peer-to-peer network that runs on a decentralized distributed self-clearing ledger called the blockchain. Units of currency that run on the Bitcoin network are called Bitcoins, which are used to store and transmit value among network participants. Unlike most currencies issued by central banks, which can be devalued and manipulated, Bitcoins are issued according to a fixed set of rules to create sound money that can't be manipulated by a central authority or malicious actor. Users can buy or sell goods and services, send money to people or organizations, or even extend credit in a fast, secure, and borderless manner. The only prerequisite for access to these coins is an internet connection and a private key that forms a pair with public-facing keys to provide access to the coins stored on the Bitcoin network. Unauthorized access to someone's private key is similar to stealing gold from their vault. The keys will be explained detailed in another video. The blockchain. What is a blockchain? A blockchain is a tamper-proof encrypted database secured by cryptography, which is the study of encryption, that acts as an accounting ledger keeping track of digital assets. Instead of being maintained by a single server like traditional databases, blockchains are decentralized and maintained by a distributed network of computers around the world. This database tracks every Bitcoin in the network and each transaction since the very first Bitcoin. You can think of Bitcoin as an accounting system. Through the blockchain, it is a way of recording transactions and value digitally in an open and distributed self-clearing ledger. Decentralized is there is no central entity or one person with control. Distributed means instead of one central server owned and operated by a singular entity, Bitcoin's ledger is distributed across the globe, making it impossible to shut down as there is no central point of failure. There is no Bitcoin headquarter address for someone to raid. There is no central server to hack. The evolution of money. In the very early days, people exchanged value via a barter system of trading goods, followed by the development of commodity money. For example, silver and gold coins, as they were very easy to carry and divide and had a level of scarcity that provided value. With the rise of banking arose a debt based system where we deposited gold with the bank, and they issued us a piece of paper representing how much gold we had with the bank. After all, it's much easier to carry around paper bills than a bag of gold. In 1971, President Nixon abolished the gold standard, ending the ability of people to redeem US dollars for gold at the Federal Reserve, allowing the government full autonomy to freely print money, thus making the US dollar a fiat currency, and fiat is Latin for it shall be. Fiat currencies, which are now commonplace around the world, are not backed by tangible assets, only the promise from a government. Unfortunately, this led to currency manipulation and devaluation by governments to erode massive federal deficits at the expense of the consumer. Goodbye, gold standard. Hello to inflation. The gold standard, even in its partial form up to 1971, helped to control inflation. Since the switch to a fully fiat system, inflation has pushed prices about 6 times higher than they were 45 years ago. The dollar has lost 90% of its purchasing power since the mid 20th century as a result of inflation. Therefore, many financial planners stress investing in assets like stocks, gold, real estate, and etc., many other things, rather than holding cash. To preserve and grow wealth given fiat losses, its store of value over time. It's important to understand that the US dollar is the best transactional currency currently in the world. If I were stuck in the middle of the rainforest in South America, I would want US dollars, as it is the reserve currency of the world. The US dollar is accepted anywhere around the world, but is a terrible store of value. For a long time, gold has been considered the ultimate store of value. Now, people are turning to cryptocurrencies as they are more secure, easier to store and transport, cheaper to use, and easier to subdivide than any asset known today. It is disrupting the international payments and transfers business by cutting out the exorbitant fees of banks and other middlemen. The global remittance market, which is people working in one country and sending money back home to their families, as well as becoming the currency of the internet and fueling a new wave of global e-commerce. The underlying point here is that Bitcoin is not meant for paying for your Starbucks coffee instead of US dollars. Most would rather use their Starbucks card and earn stars than use Bitcoin. Bitcoin and the developing world. People in the US continue to underestimate Bitcoin because they live in the comfort of the most secure and stable financial system in the world. This is a much more real picture for those in other countries where there is rampant hyperinflation as a result of either government corruption or lack of economic growth, like in Venezuela, Argentina, or Zimbabwe. Cryptocurrency provides an escape for those stuck under oppressive monetary regimes. Another powerful way Bitcoin is changing the developing world is by providing financial services to those who don't have access. There are billions of people without access to financial services or a bank account, but do have access to a smartphone, because all that is required to use Bitcoin is a smartphone with an internet connection. Bitcoin brings financial services to those who need it most. There is value in empowering people to be their own bank, giving them the means to access, store, and transfer value regardless of where they are in the world. Did you know? In the Philippines, you could walk into one of 20,000 7-Eleven stores and exchange Bitcoin. The world is moving much faster towards Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies than most of us realize. Bitcoin's core value proposition. One of the first things that people think about when they learn about Bitcoin is payments. Every financial transaction we make, either with Venmo or our banks, has at least one intermediary that sits in the middle and takes a little cut. What if we could transact with one another in a peer to peer way without needing permission? All we need is an internet connection, and we could send money to anyone without anyone's permission in the same way that the internet allows us to send information. Philosophically, Bitcoin assures that the money you have earned is yours and enforces the idea that you can truly own your wealth. Payments and being a medium of exchange is an important part of Bitcoin's value proposition, but it's not the only part. Bitcoin is a highly censorship resistant and permissionless store of value. Using the Swiss bank account analogy, there is about $20 trillion worth of wealth in the world stored in offshore bank accounts and shell companies by major companies and many individuals. This is not illegal. Rather, it's to lawfully shield those assets from creditors, taxation, legal jurisdictions, or even corruption. Bitcoin and other crypto assets fulfill this void, and many others to a much greater extent, as a first uncensorable and unseizable asset in history. Now, why should you own Bitcoin? Well, you may want to own some Bitcoin for the same reasons why you should invest in anything: to maintain or increase your standard of living over time. This is especially important in the face of inflationary pressures and the fact that fiat currencies are a terrible store of value. Owning Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency is a choice. That is why we are here to educate you, so you can make an informed, intelligent decision. Everyone should build a diversified portfolio to secure their financial futures and enable them to achieve what they want most in life. Crypto assets could play an important role in that, as many believe Bitcoin and blockchain-based assets are one of the greatest technological innovations and will represent the greatest wealth creation event of our time. In 2009, Bitcoin was worth less than 1 penny to the US dollar. In 2021, Bitcoin reached $69,000. It may be time that you make the choice. Now, as a disclaimer, this information is intended for educational and training purposes only and should not be construed as investment advice. As with all financial decisions, you should contact your licensed financial advisor before investing in any financial instrument.